Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the second episode of the Back of the Pack podcast, brought to you by OKKC Sports. I am your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it, as always. Hey, first off, I want to thank everyone. This first week, since we did the first podcast and have really gotten our social media presence up, has been awesome. Like, the response to this show and the response to kind of what we're doing has been great. It's not just my friends on Facebook being supportive. We're getting people from all over the country that are just kind of interested in really what we're about, just this kind of back of the pack lifestyle, the people who are the fun runners, not the elite runners, the people who are out for the fun race swag and the medals and T-shirts and the bananas, and then that, post-race beer that we all long for while we're on the course. So things have really been kind of taken off. I couldn't be any happier with how things are going. So I wanted to take a moment and just thank you personally for it. I'm really excited for the show and for things to come. We've got so much stuff in the works right now. We already have a T-shirt design out. Remember, I told you guys last week that my goal is going to be, at all the races I'm at this year, I'm going to take a T-shirt with me. And if you find me and you say, hey, I listen to the show, or I love the show, or, whatever, I'm just going to give you a T-shirt, just right there. Boom. T-shirt for you, because what runner doesn't love race swag? We've got stickers printed up. I'm gladly going to hand out those to anyone who want them. So it's really fun, and there's a lot of cool things happening, and it's not at all possible without all of you wonderful listeners. So thank you so much. If you want to keep track of what we're doing and what everything looks like, you can find us on Instagram. Instagram seems to be where we are really taking off right now. And it's just, our handle is really easy. Back of the Pack podcast, all one word. That is us on Instagram. So please give us a follow, interact with everything that we post on there. We're just, we're having fun. Nothing too serious, nothing too wild. Just take a look at the stickers, take a look at the T-shirt design. I'm posting on there every time I do a training run. Let's keep each other motivated, especially as we get into spring and warmer weather. This is where our training season starts. And so, I'm going to try and lead by example, more or less, as best I can. By getting out there, I'm going to post my runs, and I invite you guys to post your run fees after you get a run in. So, yeah, find us on the social media. We love it. It's fun to interact with everyone. Again, T-shirts are on the way. Stickers are already here in my hot little hand. I want to take a moment now, and I want to thank the race that we talked about on our first podcast, the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. We went over it. I've written up about it. We talked about it on the show, but they have been super awesome on social media. They've shared some of our posts. They've commented. They've liked it. So their social media and our social media have really meshed well together. I love trying to get partnerships with a lot of the races that we cover. I'm not asking for free entries, but just a good working relationship with everyone is all I'm looking for. And so we seem to have one now with the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. So I'm super excited, and I want to thank them so much for just kind of taking an interest and being cool about us sharing the race. And yeah, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I'll get them out. They interact with us, and life is great. What we're going to talk about today. So this is a non-race weekend for me. So I don't have a race. I didn't run anything yesterday. I'm going to go out this afternoon, Central Time, and get myself some miles as I'm getting ready for my race next weekend. I will be at the Liberty Hospital Half Marathon. Yep, early spring half marathon. That's what I'll be tackling. So that's super fun. But I'm going to go out and get some miles this afternoon. I'm going to be running on the track because I've got one close to the house, and I enjoy some track running just as a change of pace. Also a little better on these old knees, and all these tracks are mildly padded anymore. And so I'm going to go out there and try and get a 10K in on a track this afternoon. So that's my plan. So no race for me this weekend. So I don't really have a race that I can cover. What I thought would be good to cover this weekend, we're getting into spring. Like, I'm recording this now on the first day of spring. So spring running has arrived. My hope here in the Midwest is that we are just flat done with snow. No more cold, wet stuff falling from the sky. Let's get some rain when we need it, warmer temperatures, green grass, get the leaves back on the trees. Let's do all that. But there is a difference between spring running and summer running. A lot of people think, okay, well, we're in spring now, so how do we run in warm weather? Well, we're not quite to warm weather yet, but there is a difference in running in the spring. We're coming out of winter. You're not in the shape that you were at the end of fall. At least if you're me, you're not. The holidays always wreak havoc with my training and dieting. So we're coming out of winter where it's fair to say that our activity level across the board has been down. Shorter days, colder weather. We're just not out as much as we would normally be during the nicer months. So the first tip for spring running is to ramp up slowly. Okay, so I was reading an article and here's what they say about it real quick. It is easy to want to pick up training where you left off last fall, but you must be very careful about ramping up the miles too quickly. Okay, and that can lead to injury. That can lead to burnout. You know, if you go out there and you think you're going to still run that, you know, for argument's sake, let's say 30-minute 5K, and you don't, then immediately you're already in your own head. And as we know, when you're running a race, I'd say 60 to 75% of it is mental. If you show up at the start line and you toe the start line and that race is already beating you in your head, then there's really no point in you even crossing the starting mat. Okay, because you're already done. You're already out of that race. If you go there and be like, my training is stunk, I'm not going to have a good race. You know, I'm tired. I don't feel prepared. When you show up to the start line and you've already got the negative thoughts going through your head, you're already doomed. Your run is going to suck. Your race time isn't going to be what you want, and you're just going to leave frustrated. And so you really have to look out for burnout and for frustration when you think that you're going to still run at the same level you did previously, when maybe you were doing that marathon training program, or you were getting ready for that half, or you've been running 5Ks every other weekend, or whatever your situation is. So just be really careful. Ramp up slowly. And this isn't in the article, but this is just my take. Give yourself a break. You know, don't beat yourself up if you have a crappy run. I have crappy runs all the time. I am certainly not in peak physical shape. Everything I'm doing now that I've started, you know, basically last week when we started the podcast, I am gearing up for a race in September. Okay. And I've got plenty of races between now and then, but my end goal is in September. Everything else I'm doing in this year is just along the way. It's just to help me achieve that goal. So when I go and do this half marathon next Saturday, I don't expect miracles. I'm not going for a new PR. I'm not going to just try and blow away some of my best times. I'm not doing that. This is a stepping stone towards my goal in September. Okay, so I'm ramping up. I mean, you can't really call a half marathon ramping up slowly, but in my mind, I'm ramping up slowly. They just happen to put this series that I like to do every year right at the start of spring. But anyway, okay, so the next one, they say to take inventory. Okay, what does that mean? All right, after taking a few months off from running, it's easy to forget how old or worn your running gear is, particularly shoes. When was the last time you replaced your running shoes? If the answer is, I don't know, you're probably ready for new ones. You should replace your running shoes every 300 to 500 miles, depending on your size, weight, gait, and shoe type. Keeping a running log is great, not only for tracking your progress and runs, but also for keeping track of shoe mileage. In your running log, make a note of the date you started wearing a new pair of shoes, then keep track of your weekly running mileage. You'll then be able to easily calculate when you've run 300 to 500 miles in those shoes. That is 100% correct. And that is definitely something that I personally do. So last year, as I prepared for the New York Marathon, I bought a pair of running shoes. Those were going to be my New York shoes. And I kept track of the miles that I put on them up until New York. The moment I was done with the New York Marathon, those shoes retired. They are now my walking around everyday shoes. They are not running shoes anymore. Several weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, I went to the running store. I got a brand new pair of shoes. These are my Berlin shoes. These are the shoes that I'm going to train in that are going to take me to the Berlin Marathon in September. Now I'm going to keep track. I have a log of the miles that I've put on them thus far, and I'm going to keep track all the way up until the marathon. So yes, take inventory of what you've got, especially your running shoes, and make sure that you're not going out there starting your training on some old dead pair of shoes and then boom, injury. It just comes immediately, and that happens. So that is absolutely correct from this article that I found. This is an article actually on active.com. They have tons of running articles. You should definitely go check them out. Their writers are great. I love reading a lot of their stuff. Another one here, and this is still under our springtime running. Set a goal. Whether you've been running for years or are brand new to running, setting goals can be very beneficial. Working towards a goal allows you to feel like you are accomplishing something and gives you a purpose for getting those miles in. Whatever your goal is, it should be challenging yet achievable. If you are brand new to running, maybe your goal is to finish a 5K or be able to run 20 minutes without stopping. Perhaps you want to get faster, stronger, lose weight. Whatever your goal, set a realistic timeline to meet it and celebrate in a healthy way when you accomplish it. Treat yourself to some new running music, give yourself a pedicure, or buy yourself a new pair of running shorts. Okay, I get in. I'm in on all that. Setting a goal is great. My goal, of course, is to go to Berlin. And I'm a back of the pack runner. Admittedly, that's kind of the glory of the name of this show. I've never been pulled off a course for time reasons. I've certainly come close-ish. A lot of times they'll let you finish, but there is a 6.5 hour mark at Berlin. They want you done within 6.5 hours. My goal is to be done well before that timeline. Now in New York, I would have just barely missed that 6.5 hours. In Berlin, I want to be under it. I don't want there to be any chance of having to veer off the course and maybe not finish at the official finish line. In Chicago, if you don't finish at the official finish line, you finish like next to it on a sidewalk because they have started disassembling the structure. So my goal in Berlin, of course, is to finish on the real finish line, finish well under the 6.5 hour mark, and not leave anything to chance on somebody else's watch or the sweep truck or whatever the case might be. That is my goal. Every mile I log between now and then is to accomplish the goal of getting into Berlin, and I'm aiming for under 6 hours. That is my goal, is under 6 hours. My personal best marathon is 5 hours and 31 minutes. If I can get between my personal best and the 6 hour mark, if I'm in that window, I have accomplished my goal for Berlin. And so everything I'm doing, I have my goal already. So all my races are towards that goal. Our next one, be prepared for the weather. And that's a big one, especially if you live close to me here in the Midwest. Again, I'm in Kansas City. Weather can change on a dime in the spring. Yesterday, we had a beautiful day. Today, we're going to have a warm day. Every day in the spring here in the Midwest is a windy day. You don't get nice weather without the consequence of wind around here. So you have to be ready for whatever Mother Nature throws at you, whether it be wind, whether it be heat, cold, rain, storms. You got to be ready for all of it because the weather is very, very unpredictable. And then the last one, and I found this one to be kind of it's interesting in spring. This doesn't affect me as much as I know it does some people. Some people, this is a huge thing. And it's keep your allergies under control. I mean, it's springtime, my friends. I can see my grass in the backyard out the podcast studio window. It's starting to get a little greener. There's a few flowers trying to pop up. The leaves are going to be popping up on the trees. For allergy sufferers, this is the worst time of year. Like, this is the season that everybody dreads. And I have certainly seen friends show up to start lines looking like death warmed over because their allergies took a gigantic hold on them and they didn't know how to shake it. Or not that they didn't know, they just weren't ready for it. They weren't ready when the allergies came, and trying to run while your eyes are watering and you can't breathe and your nose is running. That's never fun. And you're not going to have a good time. It's not going to be enjoyable. So yeah, they definitely list on here that a tip for spring running, of course, is to keep your allergies under control. So that is our 5 tips for spring running. I hope you found them interesting. I know I sure did. It's nice to know that I was on the right path for a few of these. Definitely, ramp up slowly, take inventory, set a goal, be prepared for weather, and then keep your allergies under control. Again, it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. I bet you can find a little truth in all these tips. So now what we're going to talk about is the next race that I have coming up. I mentioned that the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4 miler has kind of become a friend of the show. I certainly hope that my next race will as well. So the next race is the Liberty Hospital Half Marathon. Just a little bit of history on that. They started running this race in 2015. I was there. I was at the start line for the very first race. It takes place in Liberty, Missouri, and that is not the flattest part of town, let me tell you that. But Liberty, Missouri is kind of an up-and-coming suburb of Kansas City. A nice place. I know a few people that live up there. I've been to Liberty several times. The race, very well organized. I can definitely say that. I'll never forget one year, maybe it was last year or the year before that I did it. I was finished with the race. I had my medal. I was slowly meandering back to my car. And I just started talking to the person walking next to me. Turned out that she was one of the race executives. And she kind of just asked me, what did I think of the race? What did I like? What did I not like? And I told her, and I felt like she genuinely cared about what my answer was. This wasn't just idle chit chat because we were walking along the same sidewalk. She genuinely cared what I thought of the race and had an interest in, improving and taking runner suggestion and improving the race. I was very impressed by that. I don't remember her name or what her connection was. I know she was some sort of executive for the race, but I really did appreciate that she took the time to listen to me and didn't just, blow off my responses, because it wasn't perfect. No race is. No race is a perfect race. I certainly had things that I thought could have been improved, whether it had been a slight variation in the course maybe, or an aid station had an issue or whatever it was. I don't remember, but she seemed to genuinely care. So the race has been going for a few years now. They put this on their website, and I thought this was cool. So since 2015, proceeds from the Liberty Hospital Half Marathon and Jewel 5K have provided more than $500,000 to assist medically underinsured and underserved patients, support community health education and programs, provide valuable resources to hospital employees and patients, and offer pathways to education for future and current nurses in the Northland area. Hey, that's really cool. Like, it's nice to know when you sign up for a race, and it's not the cheapest race ever, but it's nice to know that your registration fee is going towards something good. Like, they put right here where it's going, how it's helped. I dig that. So I am more than happy to support this race and support that very cause, because I know what it's doing, and it's doing something that I like and doing something that I think is important. So good job out of Liberty Hospital. I know that they did not run last year. The coronavirus knocked the race out for 2021. It was actually the last race that I ran in 2020 before the world shut down. So they always kind of have a place in my heart for that one, as it was the last race before everything ended. Because I didn't have a race this weekend, and we like doing Medal Monday on, Mondays on the Instagram account. Again, Back of the Pack podcast, all one word. Find us on Instagram, play along. But I'm going to take my 2020 Liberty Hospital Half Marathon medal and use that for Medal Monday, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm not going to lie, folks there at the Liberty Hospital Half, your medals are awesome. Like, I love the bling that comes from your race. And I've seen pictures of this year's medal. It is huge. They are going big or going home on these medals. And trust me, they ain't going home. These things are massive. So I'm going to show you 2 years ago's medal, and you guys can check that out if you've never run this race or seen what they're about. I do think that you will be impressed. And then the following Medal Monday, of course, will be the one that I earn next weekend by completing the half marathon. I love that right here on their website, they have said that they've made some changes. So new in 2022, personalized bids, always nice. It's nice when the people who are supporting you on the course can kind of see your name and can, holler, hey, go Kyle, whatever. That's kind of cool. And then the half marathon course, they're taking out the last hill, which is great because that one almost killed me 2 years ago. They're taking out the loop around the hospital, also very hilly. And then they are putting us on a flat walking trail for like miles 3 to 5, which surpasses some of the other hills. Again, Liberty, Missouri is not flat. It is a hilly place. So they're eliminating some of the hills to make the course a little easier for the runners. I'm okay with that, because previously, and I can't speak to this year's course, previously I would have put this half marathon as one of my top 5 most difficult, because it was hard, really hilly. And just due to where it's at, you can't get a lot of crowd support in some areas. So really you're out there on an island, you're by yourself, except for the other runners, and you're huffing and puffing going up and down these hills. So I think it's a great idea to flatten some of it. I prefer it. Now, some people will say, well, we like the challenge, and that's great. And you can like the challenge, and good on you for accepting the challenge. I would like a few less hills, please. So that's going to be the Liberty Hospital half. I'm looking forward to it. It is part of a series here in town that I have signed up for. I think this is going to be my 8th or 9th year doing it. It's called the Heartland 39.3 series. And it used to be 3 half marathons in 5 weeks. Now it's 3 half marathons spread out over 3 months. It is the Liberty Hospital Half Marathon here at the end of March. 2 weeks after that is Rock the Parkway. That is April 9th, I believe. And then in May is the ever so lovable Running with the Cows Half Marathon out in Bucyrus, Kansas. One of my favorite half marathons because, again, small town half marathons, the entire town shows up for it. And so the entire town of Bucyrus comes out for that race. It's just fun. You're running out in the middle of God's nowhere. I've always enjoyed that race, so I'm super excited to get back to it. They too have been shut down now for 2 years due to coronavirus. So this ought to be a lot of fun when we get back there. So coming up next week, we're going to have a recap of the Liberty Hospital Half Marathon. We're going to talk about Rock the Parkway, which will be 2 weeks or just be 1 week away, right? Is my mental math correct? I don't know, figure it out. And then we'll talk about maybe some more tips if you guys like that little segment, and then future and upcoming races. Something else I wanted to point out to you before we hit the road. This shocked me. You will hear in my voice, I am shocked. If you ever wanted to run the Marine Corps Marathon in Arlington, Virginia, that goes into Washington, D.C., there is no draft this year. Like we talked about, registration across all races is down. Even with the deferments from the missed races, there is open registration right now for the Marine Corps Marathon. It takes place on October 30th here in 2022. If you haven't done this race, and if you want a race to do, if this is on your bucket list, I cannot stress enough, go register right now. Get out there. Now, I think registration for the race is $200 at this point. Worth it. I did the race in 2015. I'm going to do this marathon again. Not this year. I can't take advantage of this because it's too close to my Berlin marathon. But if you want to go run the Marine Corps Marathon, do it. It is totally an experience, and it's an experience worth having if you ever want to run a full marathon. So pretty please, go sign up. Go sign up right now. Go do it. Just wait till I sign off and the podcast is over. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and then go sign up for the Marine Corps Marathon because you won't regret it. The coolest part, I mean, it's not just that you get to run by a lot of the wonderful monuments in Washington. You run up and down by all the Smithsonian museums. You go in front of the Capitol building, the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, you see all of it, and it's really awesome. But for me, the coolest moment, when you finish the race, you go into these little chutes, these little lines, and a fully commissioned officer of the Marine Corps puts your medal around your neck. That is amazing. Then they salute you. And that was just such a cool experience for me to have them do that. Then you stand in front of the Iwo Jima Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. They take your picture with you, your medal, and the Iwo Jima Memorial behind you. It is so cool. It's a great experience. The Marines are all up and down that course. They're at every mile marker. They are cheering you on. They are just going nuts for you all day long. Don't miss this opportunity. If you're looking for a full marathon and you have the means to go, it's sitting there. It's sitting there wide open. There's no draft this year. So go sign up for the Marine Corps Marathon. You will not regret it. If they're doing this next year where there's no draft, I'm in. I am going next year if it's the same situation. You guys can get in for 2022. I think next year they're actually going to be celebrating 50th anniversary. So I definitely went in on that. And that is my plug for them. And who knows, maybe they'll want to work with the show as well, or at least give us a retweet or a like or, something. Who knows? Anyway, hey, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for listening to me. I kind of rattled on for a little longer. We normally aim this show for about 20 minutes. I think I'm at about 25. Hopefully y'all didn't mind too much. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell us what you love. Tell us what you don't. Tell us what races you want us to be at. Tell us you like the t-shirt design. I want to hear from you because that is by far the part that I enjoy the most, is when I just get to interact with other people. You guys are going to see me out there very soon. We're getting the shirts ordered. They're teal. They say Back of the Pack Podcast on front. Super fun on the back. So find me if you want to get that free t-shirt, and then holler at me if you want that sticker. I already have one on my car, and I think they look great. Thank you so much for your love and support. This first week has been awesome. I hope we can keep the momentum going for the second week because this is so much fun. I'm having a great time, and I just want to keep this train rolling. So everyone, have a great week of training. Good luck on whatever races you have coming up this weekend. Let us know. I will talk to you after my half marathon, and we'll just keep on going. It's spring, everybody. Happy spring here on the first day of spring. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. You've been listening to the Back of the Pack podcast. It is a production of OKKC Sports, hosted by Kyle Walker and edited and mastered by Katie O'Neill.